All right, welcome back. Okafor, I've always said something that the law is our Bible.
Yeah.
The Constitution is our Bible. And that Bible regulates us, help us to be righteous, be holy, and seek the face of God all the time. The Nigeria, as we were, what brings us together is the Constitution. Do you understand? And it's good for us to respect that Constitution. The moment we don't respect the Constitution, things will go out of hand. Peter Obi's younger brother's house was demolished. I mean, they didn't allow him, from what I heard, to enter the house and speak his things. And Peter Obi said he has to beg to go into the place and see the level of demolition. I mean, everybody has a right to hear why you want to demolish my property that I legally own. The lawlessness is appalling, especially now. It's when we can't talk it that much. EFCC, ICPC, Nigerian police, they haul you into the prison, carry your money, lock your account. I mean, how long are we going to continue in this?
Yeah. I mean, it's so sad where government go, different kind of level tiers of government, different agencies of government go into institutional victimization. It's somebody that you should, if you're measuring the success of government, is the prosperity of the people. Somebody who is into legitimate business, somebody who doesn't, is not into crime, somebody the proceed into his account is not a proceed of crime, somebody the building he owns is not a venue for criminal activities, or anything known, is not used to store narcotics, is not used to do things like that. When the government begins to convert your property, begins to look at your property and begins to see the way to take over your property in the name of, upholding laws that are only written for you, you begin to wonder where the nation is headed. And to the man in the public, once a rich person is being persecuted, they see corruption even when it's not there. But they are beginning to be wiser now. There's something VDM said the other day. He told the FCC, if not this one they call money laundering, I'm sure that one they talk na lie. You understand? How did we get there? Let me read that from what P2B said. He said, the report is saying, when he requested to see the legal backing for the demolition of the property you are talking about, the security personnel claimed a court judgment existed. But it was reportedly issued against an unknown person and squatters with no identifiable defendant or name served. How do you sue an unknown person? How does a court issue a judgment in such a fast of a case? Obi asked them. No one was served. No name was written. Yet they showed up with excavators and began destroying a structure that has stood over 15 years. If there is a judgment with no defendant, fair hearing that is guaranteed in our constitution has been sacrificed. There is no implementation of any law that qualifies the suspension of our rights guaranteed in the constitution, because that is the only hope we have. It's like going to seal up a place. If people are already living there, people are already using the place for business, it becomes a different ball game, because you are going to impede on their constitutional rights, and that is the only guarantee they have. There's nothing you are chasing that should be done in expense of constitutional rights. Unfortunately, the government that should protect this are the one impeding on people's rights. Now, you destroy the property, it's a loss to our GDP in itself.
Yes.
The businesses that is being carried on there is going to create unemployment. These people don't know. Look at the number of SMEs closing down every day because government policies, institutions are attacking the SMEs. If you go to other foreign countries, there's tax holiday because you're a small company and they tell people you're employing, there's even tax holiday.
Loan without interest.
Loan without interest.
5 years.
A lot of things, it is giving you so that you can keep employing people. Once you even employ more than 5, in Nigeria, we used to have something that looks good.
Yes.
Like in a PENCOM, any company that you see that has PENCOM certificate, it means that company has, at minimum, employed 3 people consistently for 3 years. And when you see such small company, you should protect them, for example. When you see somebody doing a legitimate business, you should protect them, for example. But you see people using politics. They don't know how to separate economics from
politics.
governance from politics. It's so sad.
Philip, it's a very sad story. What we are seeing. You see, I'm very particular. It could be Peter Obi today. There are things I'm particular about. Not even to a large extent. It's about the trend. See, because if they can do it to someone as close to Peter Obi, that is quite popular. What about somebody else that doesn't have anything? This trend, is it the weakness of the judiciary, or is the wickedness of the people? Or this is one of the issues I hold against state police. They are state judiciary that the state can use at any time. I have always said that if we have state police, won't the governors also use it anyhow? Because as it is right now, at the federal level, the president nominates and appoints the IG of police and all the security apparatus. This trend that people, especially politicians, don't follow the law is a detriment to our democracy.
Yeah, you see, when you speak about the trend of lawlessness in this country, it shows that democracy is being eroded. It shows that the system is being eroded. It shows that the people are losing the grip of their country. Because what it clearly shows is that we don't have government. It's a state of state captured. Some persons has captured the state and they use the instrument of the state the way they want it to be used. Because what has happened in Lagos State and to be younger brother is like witch hunting. It's something that because Obi is the face of the opposition and it's a known opposition, what they try to do now, if they can't get to him directly, let's get to those who are close to him, to discourage him from being in opposition. That's what it shows. It's coercion, and they are using state instrument. It can't be worse than this. I don't want to use the word, but it's worse. It's already in a very, very bad shape when it comes to human rights. The government first responsibility is the protection of lives and properties. And if the same government that is meant to protect lives and properties of her citizenry is the one taking steps to destroy lives and properties, because when you say Obi property is being demolished, you are talking about the state of lawlessness. What about the killing that happened in Benue a few days ago, when the bandits or whoever they are, or in a broad daylight, move into a state and finish a whole community and left and nothing happened? What the government did next was to organize a state party in the name of town hall to hear from the people without visiting the village where the massacre took place. That state of lawlessness, you see, it shows that we are in a very, very dangerous situation. If it's not calm, if the citizenry doesn't take steps to stand for their right, I'm afraid what will happen next. Because when a state is captured, it's both sides. Because it could consume everybody. If you think you have gagged the people, it will come to a point that the people will revolt. And when they revolt, it will consume even you that you thought you have gagged them. Even the government should be conscious with the way they use state apparatus to oppress individuals.
Okay, I listened to Peter Obi the other day when he was talking at a book launch that was written about him. He said, I've been to Afghanistan. He said, I've been to Lebanon. He said, I've been to other places that have been disorganized by violence. He said, they were not like that. He said, the big guns were building large houses and thinking they were safe inside. He said, but when the war and destruction came, even the rich and the poor were on the streets. The people that have kept quiet now. Now, I don't know whether it's one of the writers, he said we are all victims. I think that poem was written after the Civil War.
Yes.
Say we're all victims.
So the casualty.
The casualties.
Written by J.P. Clark. Is it J.P. Clark or one of those two? I
One
remember.
of, yeah,
The casualty.
the casualties.
So we're all casualties.
We're all casualties, all victims. Now, everybody now stay quiet when things like this happen because it didn't get to them. One day it's going to get to them. If we are allowed to continue like this, why don't they always speak?
You know, we take issues of leadership lightly. You know, you ask the question, if this could happen to somebody close to P2P, how about somebody, you know, just ordinary person? It could also be that this happened to the person simply because he's close to P2P. Until you investigate it, you can't be too sure about that. You know, we take issues of leadership very lightly. Unfortunately, you know, I keep telling people, you can't do more than you know. And oftentimes, it's very difficult to know and not do. Very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult to know more than, you know, certain level and not do that and do below that. Most of the people who were let into public offices don't know much. We only assume that they know much and they are deliberately not doing it. They don't even know. If they understand that the only enjoyment they have for the wealth or guarantee they have that they will enjoy their wealth, even their pension, is when there is peace, they wouldn't be doing what they are doing. If they understand that people react and there is a limit as to where you can compress any combustible element, they will limit their compression. They don't know. They think you can continue to compress, you continue to compress until you know they continue to see victory in nonsense. They continue to see victory in something that is completely and clearly pushing us towards destruction. They simply don't know. Election is very, very important. There are consequences for elections. Our people should start thinking of how to elect those that know. Those that know, not those that will give them money, give you little thing. After the election, you won't find them anymore. You find out that in Nigeria here, people are imprisoned by their primordial sentiments. They would rather vote for a man in their tribe than to vote for a Fulani man. They would rather vote from their person than to vote for Igbo man. They would rather want, you know, atrocity, killings to continue than to make Igbo man IG. Things like that. Because things like that are there. When people are contesting to be president, when people are contesting to be governor, go to states. You see, that is why I've always listened to you. There's no limit as to this heterogeneity. If you go to your state too, you find out that everybody from the state are not from the same tribe person.
No.
Some people say, nah, Idoma people, they are always like that.
Why can't Idoma not rule Benue State?
They say Idoma people, they made up their mind. They made up their mind. So the people, until they realize that the elections have consequences, they won't be taking it seriously.
You know, we have a program on Friday and Saturday called Beer Parlor Politics.
Yeah.
Now, one of the reasons for that program is that people gather in Beer Parlor and talk.
Anyhow.
And it doesn't get into the mainstream of politics. People gather around the newspaper vendor. It doesn't get there. It's time that people begin. That's why we say Beer Parlor politics.
Yeah.
Let it be getting to the mainstream where policies come out from. Do you understand? And all that. And in your closing, I want you to let us look at how people can contribute, making sure that these people that we elected to help guide us in a constitutional way do what is right.
The only way the people can contribute to ensure that those elected into offices do what is right is for the people vote to count. It's for people to ensure that they vote the right persons into offices. Instead of wherein the people vote doesn't count, but names are written and then they were announced, the people had no role to play because in the first place, they do not participate in electing them. Take, for instance, political parties, and the very obvious one that is before us today. The APC, the ruling party, has told you 2 years before the election that they already had a presidential candidate. unopposed in a democratic setting. They should be. Such shouldn't be. So also, every person in that party that is in office is agitated that it should be endorsed. For instance, in Delta State, especially Delta North Central District, the senator represented in the senatorial district, Senator Ned Nwoko, has also organized a kangaroo, meeting wherein the zone has adopted it as the only candidate. You see, in that way, the people had no choice. And because it's the ruling party, even if other political party feeds other person to run with him, the possibility of the government in power using their influence to influence the election is high. So how will the people have a say in the first place? The man in the office know that you do not contribute anything to his election. Why would they listen to you in the first place? Until we have eternal democracy in our political parties and the right person stand for election and they were elected by the people and the people vote counts, these people cannot be, called to order.
Okay, I would have come to you, but I'll come to you next time. All right, on Friday, around noon, we want you to join us on Beer Parlor Politics. And on Saturday, the same thing too. Join us. You will know, you'll begin to know how you can join in and bring these people to the point where you question them in their actions. We'll be right back on News Insight.